T-Bro in the morning, Laura Styles, Rosenberg. Today, we are featuring Corey Pegues. The book, Once a Cop, The Street, the Law, Two Worlds, One Man. He was on the NYPD for 21 years. He also served in the military. What branch of the military, sir?
U.S. Army.
Your story, and the reason I wanted to get into it is because you are not, and this is, I want to make very clear, you are not anti-police. You are not somebody that's left the force and are anti-police at all.
No, I'm just anti-bad police.
All right. And this book tells true stories. You've changed some names of things that you witnessed and things that you participated in as a police officer.
Right.
I wanted to run through some of the chapters just to kind of give people some insight into the book if they want to go get it. Suburban Sugar Hill's the first chapter. And obviously Sugar Hill's a place that we're uptown, and sugar being the cocaine, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Lucy's. The Block Gets Hot. Welcome to Supreme Team. And that's speaking of Queens and
Right.
Supreme McGriff and all of that. I decided I would kill him myself.
Whoa.
Old Habits. The most racist thing I've ever seen in my life.
I want to hear about that one. Can we start there?
Too.
All right, let's start there. The most racist thing I've ever seen in my
Tell
life.
us a little bit about that chapter.
A
I want
little
to hear
bit. We
that.
can't give up too much. Cause
Right. You
You want
want
people to
to
buy the book.
But we give them, if that's the thing, you give them a little trailer of a couple chapters, and there's way more.
Not a big deal. So, 1993, there was a rally on the steps of City Hall after the Kiko Garcia killing, after the riots in Washington Heights, and Mayor Dinkins was the mayor. So he beat Giuliani the first go-round. And so Giuliani was trying to go against him again. And the police hated Mayor Dinkins because he sided with Kiko Garcia's family. Like, Mayor Dinkins was a really nice guy. Like, you got to pick one side. So he wanted to be with the police and Kiko Garcia. So what happened after investigation, Kiko Garcia was wrong. And like, the police hated the mayor because of that. So they had this big rally set up. But the rally actually was about a police contract. But after that decision with Kiko Garcia, it became this rally with the police hating the mayor. So
Against the mayor more.
Against the mayor, exactly. So they went down to City Hall. I was a rookie at the time, sitting out there policing the police. That's one thing. Like, the police can't police the police. Not back then. Today it's a lot different. So you had, like, guys had nooses. They was walking with nooses. So Mayor Dinkins is the N-word. Like, he had
1993 New York City.
1993 New York City. It was bad. I mean, I'm standing there like, and I got
to watch these guys.
So I'm 2 years on the job. Like, I'm gonna tell a lieutenant with 15 years, like, you can't go past the barriers. Like, it was just crazy. But Giuliani was standing up there, egging on the crowd. It was bad. You got to read it in the book. I detail everything. You could just, like, Google it. Police protest 1993 City Hall.
And you as a kid that grew up in Queens, the perception of New York City to the world is this is the melting pot. This is, all cultures, all backgrounds in one city. Did you think New York City had that level of racism at that level in the police force? And, I mean, look, Giuliani, somebody who went on to become mayor, all the way up to the mayor.
Yeah. Well,
was that a surprise to you to see that behavior?
It was. Well, you gotta understand, like, even in New York City at that time, like, I was in my own little square. So I write in a book about, I grew up in a black neighborhood. So all I knew was black people. In 1997, my mother, 77, I believe it was, made me and my little sister watch this five-part series called Roots. So I never even seen a white person in my life. And now I'm seeing Kissy spitting in the cup, Kuta Kinte getting whipped out. So I graduate public school. I get bussed out because Brown versus Board of Ed to Bayside, which is middle class, all white. Mm-hmm. So I get bussed out there. I was getting chased to the bus every single day. Like, for absolutely no reason. The first day I remember, I get on the bus and the older kids was like, look, when the bell ring at 3, run to the bus. I'm like, run to the bus for what? It was like, because these white kids, they brothers and cousins going to be coming, they chasing you with sticks. So that...
What year are we talking about?
This got to be 70s, late 70s. Because I'm in junior high school. So late
it was
70s.
Still like that in Bayside, Queens.
Oh, it was bad.
In the late 70s.
Yeah, it was bad. Like, they was chasing us about, niggas, get out of here, throwing sticks at us. And it's like a few people would get caught, they get beat up. But the ironic thing about that was, I don't remember teachers or the principal intervening. That's what's crazy about that. I mean, them chasing us, it's just part of the game. That's what it was. In their defense,
This is part of the game.
that's what they did. So it was, that's just the game.
And it just happened in Staten Island to a kid who had an asthma attack just
Exactly.
a month ago. Remember that was on the cover of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Kid in Staten Island, black kid was getting chased, called the N-word, whatever, by some Staten Island kids. Maybe he was 9th grade, 8th grade. I don't know how old he
He
was.
was about 10th grade. So it brings back memory of Michael Griffin, Bensonhurst, getting
Yep.
chased and hit. So those things happen once in a while, but you would expect if there's some adult leadership that they would intervene. Like the police was never there. We just had to run to the bus.
But the
Yellow
teachers,
cheese
the
bus.
faculty was very aware of what was going on. They just decided to turn just a blind eye.
I don't know if it was even a blind eye. It was like they was probably just looking at it like, let the kids be kids. But they had to know that it had a racial component to it. All the black kids running down the block with a bunch of white kids
You
coming
can
in
add it
cars.
up. You can figure it out if you add it up.
So in your book, not only do you detail growing up, but you also detail the fabric of the NYPD and race and racial issues and things that you had to go through just trying to become a part of helping people and upholding the law in New York City. Speak to that experience, your firsthand experience in dealing with that, because they had, what is it called? The blue wall, the blue
Wall of silence.
wall of silence, where what you're doing right now in this book, I'm sure many police officers are going to frown upon, yes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, it's funny. I was never part of the blue wall.
What does that mean?
You have a choice?
I was never. Yeah, you got a choice. You definitely have a choice. So this is the blue wall, so that the audience know this is the blue wall. The blue wall is basically, I'm my brother's keeper. Whatever you say, I'm going with. If it's not right, we're gonna get the story together. Everybody's on the same page. Let's move. I was never part of it. Never part of that. When I do Twitter and Facebook, I got this hashtag that I always put. I keep it right, not real. Because I never kept it real. I always keep it right. Like when you was little, your parents always told you do the right thing. And then hip hop came. It was like, yo, son, we'll keep it real. I'm not a snitch or whatever. No, I always keep it right. So that's what I did my entire profession for 21 years. So in the police department, you got to understand, it was always a lily white job. Even today, when you look at, you'll see the mayor, the police commissioner go on national TV and say the NYPD is as diverse as it's ever been. True. 36,000 police officers. More than about 56% of it is minority. But somebody like me, I'm saying, well, let me see what the numbers is at the top. Where's the power? Because numbers don't mean nothing unless you got power. So I'll just look at the 5 top positions in the NYPD. Police commissioner, white. Chief of department, white. Chief of internal affairs, white. Chief of counterterrorism, white. Those are the power positions. So, that's just what it is in the NYPD. It's male, white, run dominant. That's just what it is. So you always had that racial component. Me coming in, I came in under Safe Streets, Safe Cities, which Mayor Dinkins brought that in. And he does, the funny thing is Mayor Dinkins really is the one that started the crime down. But Giuliani got the credit, and rightfully so. Mayor Dinkins left, but he was the one who passed the bill to get all the cops here. But you can't bring the crime down without the feet to the ground. And he never got that credit that he rightfully deserved.
And well, go ahead, Rosenberg.
Well, we skipped ahead a little bit, Ebro. We skipped ahead because the beginning of this book, I'm interested in reading this entire thing. I'm already hooked on it, just glancing at it. We skipped over the drug dealer, Sergio Ticini, Adidas jump shoots, hanging out with Run DMC in the club, looking like a straight up 80s, doing, pretty nicely for himself, drug dealer years.
Who, Corey?
Yeah.
Young Corey? Young Corey in Queens. That's young Corey from Queens.
Yeah, young Corey from Queens out here living that life.
Look at that gold chain.
That
Whoa.
gold chain, the gold link.
Serious.
Not a dookie rope, but it's a chain was serious.
So what was that like for you?
Yeah, just give us. Obviously you want to read the book, but it wasn't always being a cop for you. You were seeing the.
This is my favorite picture right here from the streets.
Yeah, because you look like look like a real New York street cat right here.
But what's and that for the audience, that's the back cover of the book. And what I like about that picture is like I don't regret anything I did because I didn't kill anybody. So it was just the lifestyle I was living. But this picture is so important because you can see I'm in the hallway at Andrew Jackson High School. You see, I got the big rope chain. I got the big medallion. You can't see it's like 85 diamonds.
And
in
just
it.
for the people listening and watching this around the world, run through some of the celebrity names that went through Andrew Jackson High School because the names are.
Forget about it. We got to start with a lot of people don't know Bob Cousy.
Wow, starts all the way back there.
Big
Facts.
Bob. That's facts. You got LL Cool J, Run DMC. My man, I graduated with Hype Williams, director of Belly. The list goes on. Boo Harvey, Lloyd Sweet Pea Daniels. The list
Didn't
goes
Larry
on.
Smith go to Andrew Jackson too?
Larry Smith.
Yeah.
Yes.
The producer of,
I think
Houdini and all that.
whatchamacallit went there too, from ESPN.
And shout to Bugsy Bugs here at WBLS. He
Bugsy.
was there,
Bugsy did?
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, it's the
You think
water in Queens.
Stephen A's from
I
Queens,
think,
eh?
yeah, I think Stephen A. went there also. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's the water. You know, they say Kings from Queens. That's just what it is.
Fact. I say that based
It-
on fact.
Kings
So
from
your
Queens.
early life, you was selling drugs,
Yeah, I mean, I was hustling. 85. I started selling at 13 years old.
Selling crack.
Weed. I was selling weed.
Selling weed.
So it was a progression. I had weed. I had powder cocaine. I even sold mescaline tabs, which I don't even think people even take that stuff anymore.
I don't.
Mess tab. You don't take it no more.
Not now. I mean, listen, life is long. I don't plan on it, though.
And then when crack hit, I mean, it just like decimated our community. And the money was coming hand over fist. I mean, since we're on a hip hop station, just think about this. And I'm telling you, like, we all know that hip hop started in the Bronx. But the boom in hip hop, the swag and everything, like
Here we go.
I grew up with that. Just think about this. I'm growing up with Run DMC and LL Cool J. With the Bronx, they did the hip hop. They was wearing satin suits. Like when Run of them came with the Adidas suits, the fedoras, pants sagging a little bit, Lee jeans. Like we had this whole thing going on right around me. I wasn't in the hip hop. I hung out with these guys. We all grew up together, but
You were into the music, though.
I was definitely into the music. You think about this, I'm telling you, back then in 85, 86, drug dealers, rappers wanted to be drug dealers. Back then,
Right.
rappers wanted to be drug dealers because they
Well,
wasn't
'cause they
getting
had
no
the money.
money.
They wanted to have the
But
money.
look at now.
Russell
bro,
was hustling
look
a little
today.
bit. Yeah.
Every single drug dealer wants to be a rapper. So you saw that pendulum swing just in 25, 30 years.
Well, and also there's not a lot of money in the street like it used to be.
Oh, it's never gonna be money like the
Never
80s.
can.
It's never gonna be. They done tried Molly and all kind of drugs.
Oh,
It'll
because
never
there's.
be the same.
Is that why though? It won't be the same because the drugs are coming from different places. They're
Where
more
the
like
drugs are
chemical.
prescription drugs
Well,
now,
it's
so
a
it's
lot.
really the doctors getting the money on the low.
And policing has
about it.
changed also. So we can't forget that fact that policing has changed. And also, when I was young, your mother was like, graduate from college, get a city job, you made it. Today we telling our kids, go get that master's degree. Get
And
that
sometimes
PhD.
that ain't even good enough.
Exactly. So,
A lot of times.
society has changed, policing help, and we want more for our kids.
I want to dig deeper into the book. What are you trying to do?
I just wanna
Now,
hear-
What?
I want to see what this felt like. Take me just for a minute. A minute. What did this feel like when it happened?
Where were you standing when this
Yeah.
record played the first time?
Probably O'Connell Park, 196 in Murdoch. We bounced into that, for sure.
What'd you have in your
You know
pocket?
that.
What'd you have in your pocket?
I probably had like 1600. I probably had 200 vials of crack. Even back then, we didn't hide the crack because the police wasn't around. So we just kept it on us. Yeah. So, And
So-
we had the girls in the park. You know that. Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely had the
Get back there in a second. You
Corey,
wasn't there.
you're retired NYPD.
Yes.
Retired. And you retired, I mean, I don't know how it works, but retired with honors. You weren't kicked off the force. There was no controversy like that.
No, I fully retired. I got injured. I had 2 back surgeries. I was a deputy inspector. I was an executive in the NYPD. I had a great party, 700 people at my retirement party. I had a big party and everything. And then I went on this podcast and told my story. I could have retired and been a head of security firm. I could have actually went into politics. I could have did whatever I wanted to, but I felt like I wanted
Was
to
it
tell
on?
my
Was it on
story.
Combat Jack?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was
No,
able
yeah,
to say
it was on
Yeah,
Combat
yeah,
Jack.
Yeah, it's family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was on Combat Jack, and I told my story.
And it set. Now I remember that, and it set off like it was a big thing when you went on there and told the stories.
Oh, it was huge. My lawyer's in here somewhere. Ed Woods is in the building.
Just in case.
Ed Woods was a little upset that, I did that. We did that interview, and I said, look, we shopping for a book deal, and I couldn't get a book deal. Yeah, it's like the music industry. Everybody, put in a drop file, put in a drop file. So I said, look, if we go on Combat Jack and I jump off this roof, we getting this deal. And, make a long story short, we do Combat Jack, the New York Post, that rag of a newspaper. The police fed them the story. They put me on the front page next to Derek Jeter, calling me a thug cop in big words.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a huge story. I ran in the paper for 5 days straight. I was taking
All
my
off
kids
the interview.
all off the interview of Combat. CNN, Don Lemon, Ed was able to get me on Don Lemon to put the flames out a little bit. It was crazy, but what people don't know, the backside of that story, that paper came out Monday, 2:00, He already had me signed with a book agent, and a week after that, the top 10 publishers in the world, Simon & Schuster, Doubleday, Random House, they was all bidding on my story.
Because it blew up like that. So the same place that we're trying
not
to.
necessarily that, because I want to give the story some credence. Not only that, I mean, people don't know, I kept a journal every day as a police officer. I walked in there with 20 books with all kind of stories. I didn't write in the journal every day. I didn't write in there every week, sometimes not every month, but it was a story. Every story in here was vetted. And I also was tape recording every conversation I had with my superior officers, including Police Commissioner Ray Kelly. So when you read the story with Ray Kelly, that was all recorded.
So you know what that means, Ebro?
Yeah.
Everything that's being said in this book, based off facts.
Facts.
Everything.
So what as a young police officer, what made you want to record in detail so much?
Because I knew I was like police unusual. Like, I can't be running with the Supreme Team or on the North Side doing my own thing, making all this money, and now I'm in here putting policy together. Like, it just was like I knew I had a story that had to be told. Now, there's probably a lot of cops that sold drugs and they became police officers, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find an executive in the NYPD. I know them all. They might have sold some drugs, but they wasn't as deep as me. There wasn't no gunplay. You see me in there 15 years old, I bought my first pistol. You see me holding it like that. I was just crazy, holding the gun.
Now, you being at this level in the police, I want to talk about gun trafficking and how illegal guns get on the street and how drugs get to the street, right? Because obviously, you know, many of us hear the stories, right? And none of it, you know, it's all based on hearsay when it's coming from a kid who lives in a neighborhood. It's like, yo, they left a train open over there, and it was full of ARs and AKs, and the gang members grabbed it, and they left. There was another truck over there full of dope, and then da-da-da. What have you seen that provides any detail to what the stories that we hear about the streets? And this is all over America.
Right. Well, listen,
Because someone is letting the guns in,
it's
and
no
someone
secret.
is letting the drugs in.
It's no secret in New York City when we capture these guns, probably about 85% of those guns are coming from the South Pipeline.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's the whole presidential election, the NRA,
And
that's just what it is. It's so tight.
Bratton and De Blasio have been open about saying, look, if the gun laws don't change in Virginia, Atlanta, the Carolinas, Florida, it makes it very hard for us to get these illegal guns off the street.
And that's it. I mean, the 95 pipeline is bringing in the guns. I mean, that's just it. Well, we know, like, there's a big scandal in the NYPD. They start giving people a lot of guns. But it's hard to get a gun in New York City. You can't. It takes you about a year and a half. You get vetted very hard. But now, you know, we got that scandal where they were selling guns. You know, we just found out.
They were giving people permits
They
to
was
carry.
giving permits. Right, to carry.
And people was cutting checks to get their permits.
Exactly. But prior to that, you couldn't get a gun. It's hard in New York to get a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But these guns are coming in. You can't stop them. It doesn't matter. I was commanding officer 67 precinct. I was the first black commander in the history of the NYPD to run. That's the second most violent precinct in the city. My first year, we took 242 guns off the street. That's just that precinct. Those are the ones we caught. We caught 242.
Right.
So you can imagine the ones we missed.
So did you become a police officer because you like this lifestyle so much that you wanted to do it legit? You like being in the street. You like rubbing elbows with this lifestyle so much. Because like me, I don't know a lot of police officers. I know a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, the hip hop cops or whatever they call, like I don't do that combo. Like I don't, that's not my world.
Right.
But I do get the feeling that many people who are cops in New York City, and especially hip hop cops, once wanted to be on the music side, but needed to pay their bills, take care of their family, and they went and they did it this way, which is fine.
Right.
Was that you? You decided to be a cop because you wanted to stay close to this lifestyle? They always say there's funny. a fine line between.
I just did an interview, Trevor Noah, The Daily Show, and he asked me, I rapped for one day, it was horrible. And I said, nah, I can never do rap. So I never was into trying to like be a rap. I tried it for one day because it was the thing.
Not the music lifestyle, the street life.
Yeah, but did you want to
well,
stay close to street lifestyle?
Nah, I stumbled upon being a cop. Basically, the cop that was assigned to my high school was talking to me all the time and kind of convinced me that it's a good job, good benefits, take care of your family for the rest of your life. And by the way, he had all the girls around him. So I was always like trying to get with the little girls. And I said, man, that's a good job. I need that. And that's really basically it. I grew up playing cops and robbers, but didn't think about, I want to be a cop. I'm first generation in my family. Most cops, especially non-minority cops, they're second, third, fourth generation. I was first generation. It's like my whole family and the whole streets, my team is like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna try it out, man. Make $35,000 a year. Let's get this money. Yeah.
So did you? How often did you? You say you didn't keep it. You keep it real, or you keep it right. You don't keep it real. Whatever your hashtag is. But I would challenge that and say, I'm sure you looked the other way a few times when you knew somebody that was close to you, a family member, somebody that might have been doing something illegal. You knew about it. You looked the other way.
Well, so let's just be clear, because I don't want to like let's be clear. I never like looked the other way purposely on a crime. Like if you're trying to allude to the fact that I still had my ear to the streets and I knew people selling drugs, committing robberies, of course I did.
Right.
But they wouldn't do that around me.
Got it.
So it wasn't like, yo, you know my street name, Life, your life. Hold on 1 second, I'm gonna go stick the store up. I'll be back. Nah,
Yeah,
that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
with me.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I knew that my friends was hustling
Well, of course,
and
of
doing
course.
whatever they did. But but they respected me because I was like the hero. I made it. I was one that made it out. So they looked at me like, yo, I got that F. They got that felony. They couldn't do it. Yo, we living vicariously through you. Do you stay out of trouble? And they would vet me all the time like, yo, we getting ready to go over here. Stay back. You don't need to come with us.
So let's jump to some of the most recent cases we've seen. Eric Garner, Kai Gurley. I mean, even some of the past cases where all the evidence that we see. I mean, now we got video.
Laquan McDonald.
Laquan McDonald, Chicago. There's video.
Walter Scott, South Carolina.
There's video. You see it. Boom. It's right there. What's going on? What was the
Baltimore?
Eric Gray. Was it Eric Gray? Is that what I'm saying in Baltimore? Where?
Gray, yes.
Yeah, the Gray case.
Kamani Gray.
There's evidence. People see it. It to the general public. It's right there.
Yeah, but the Kamani Gray case is a little,
There was no.
They might have overcharged in that case. It's a little.
What do you mean
gray.
overcharge?
I believe she charged everybody. The manslaughter and stuff. All we really saw.
The prosecutor did.
Right, the prosecutor. All we really saw is like him. He was limping. I don't know, and I'm not defending the cops. I'm just. You got to look at these cases based on fact. Like he was limping when they picked him up. You don't know if they crushed his back or if it happened in the car. So it's like a real gray area. And it was one of the
but
quickest.
let's jump to Eric Garner.
case.
Something that we're looking
yeah.
at it.
I actually was the first person to come out and say that it was a homicide, and I caught a lot of heat on that also. But now that it was ruled a homicide, nobody said and gave me a clap on the back. So I was an advocate for video when I saw the Eric Garner case until they came back with the no true bill. But I knew that was going to happen, which you don't know in policing.
The no true bill. What is
there
that?
wasn't no indictment.
Right.
Because on Staten Island is 85% police are all white out there. You're not
EMT workers, firefighters, everybody live out there.
Everybody in New York, a cop, they want a trial in Upper Manhattan or they want a trial in Staten Island. Why do you think they took the Amadou Diallo trial, the Louima trial, the Diallo trial upstate? Because they knew in the Bronx, those guys was all getting convicted. But you're able to sway, and that's why I'm an advocate for a special prosecutor. You got to bring in a special prosecutor because it's really not even fair to the DA. Just think about this. It's not about the Eric Garner case. It's about blowing. You piss these cops off. You have a caseload of 400 cases. You get a conviction on those cops. Now you're going to have the rest of the cops. They're not going to cooperate with you. So it's not about that one case. They're looking like, man, if we convict these cops, we're going to blow the rest of these cases because DAs are based on convictions. That's how they get their money, convictions. I got an 85% conviction rate. If it's pled out, or they doing time, long as they got the conviction when they run re-election.
So basically what you're saying is every district attorney has to be good with the police to do their job.
They have to, and rightfully so. They have to work hand in hand. I lock the people up, I bring them to you, and we work the case. And now you can't now try to prosecute. It don't work. It just don't work. So what's the big deal in bringing in somebody that's not intimately involved? And
it's the only way.
It's the only way. And I'm not talking for every case. We're talking about police-involved shootings where people are dead or actually got hit with a bullet. If it's a clear-cut one, that don't have to go. But if it's something that's controversial, give it to a special prosecutor.
And are you saying that is universal with all of the most recent cases, even back to Sean Bell?
Definitely. All over. All throughout history.
So what does that mean for regular people like us? We just sit here and cops, I decide I want to be a police officer. I'm making $28,000, $35,000 a year.
No,
I work the
they're making $100,000 now.
Okay, whatever they're making.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I'm doing. That's taxpayer money going to your salary. I pay your salary, but you could kill me and get away with it. What does that mean for us as a society?
Well, listen, it's just not that clear cut, but
I
what
mean,
we
that's
need
how it looks to us.
I
though.
know that's how it looks, but everything glitter ain't gold. It's not like that. But what we need to do is really, they got to change the system. You have to change the system. It's like, when I was commanding the 6-7 precinct, we had 12 police involved shootings. We actually killed 6 people out of those 12 from my time that I was there. I didn't have one protest. Charles Barron, I had all of them. I didn't have one protest. Reverend Al Sharp, nobody came because I was transparent with the people. I walked those streets. I ate their food. I went to their picnics. I had a beer with them once in a while. So I was doing that legwork to build that bridge between the community and police before somebody gets shot. We was shooting people, and these are legitimate cases. The cops, sometimes they have to pull a gun out. And we would shoot somebody if they die. I send my cops to help them with the funeral. And my cops would look at me like, yo, Commander, are you crazy? You can't send. I said, nah, even that dead person, he needs help too. And that's just what it was about. For me, I always, like I said, kept it right.
And you think that's the missing piece?
That's the missing piece.
That's the biggest missing piece, right? Is that there's a lot of these stories with these cops, they're not involved with the community at all. So it's utter strangers judging each other.
Right.
The cops judging the people people judging the cops, no trust whatsoever. So if a situation does happen that escalates and violence occurs, people naturally, of course, think the worst because there's a chance that's what happened.
And then as a cop, now you're trying to be my friend. It's like, I don't want to talk to you. Where you been all this time? You just can't jump and now you want to be my friend because, somebody
Whereas
got shot.
if you'd been friends and then someone dies, the response might be going to him like, hey, what happened?
Exactly.
Why did it go down that way?
Exactly.
As opposed to what the fuck did you do?
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Are you a fan of our mayor, De Blasio?
I don't really get into the politics. It is what it is. He's the mayor.
But he's taking a lot of heat from cops, though, and
rightfully so.
for standing up. Well, but what about he tried to be on what I believe.
Well, I'm the
The
mayor.
right
So
side of-
listen, Roosevelt, I'm the mayor.
Yes.
I'm the mayor, and the cops turn their back on me. Bratton is fired. If he got 2 days to fix that. I'm the executive. I'm in charge. National television around the world, cops are turning their back against me. I gave you this job. You can't fix this. You gotta go. That's what I do. I mean, I'm just Corey Pegues.
Okay, got it. So you're saying he was on the right side of history when it comes to Eric Garner. The mayor was on the right
Yes.
side.
Yes.
The cops turned their back on him as a result.
Exactly.
He's still in the right. They turned their back on him, and you're saying the way he handled from that was he let them bully him at that point.
Yeah.
By
So
not
but
punishing Brad.
Now, once you get bullied, it's over. Once a kid take your lunch money, you're going to take it every day. So they absolutely have no respect for him. But the mayor is the executive of New York City. So he appoints the sanitation, police, all of that. So, like the commissioner, you got to take care of that. You can't have loudmouth Pat Lynch spewing venom all over the place.
You don't like Pat Lynch?
Well, it's not about that I don't like him. I don't like how he operates. You can't tell me. I'll give somebody $1,000 right now to pull up something in the newspaper one time where Pat Lynch said a cop was wrong. Just once. We could just go down the list of all these people killed. He actually got on national television and defended the chokehold and said it wasn't a chokehold. You remember that? Nah, it's not a chokehold. It's a karate move. Come on, who are you kidding here, man? You can't play on my intelligence.
We watched them choke him to death on camera.
Yeah.
Right. So, the sad part is all of these cops keep voting him in. He just got voted in another.
What's
Well,
his-
because
what
he
is
never
he?
says anything bad about him. Of course
Exactly.
they're going to vote him in.
Exactly.
Like,
It's sad,
yeah.
though. It's sad.
In your experience, how corrupt? I mean, we see. It's convenient in the election cycle. We see it every time there's an election cycle, whether it's a national election, local, whatever. There's always some scandal, like the scandal we was just talking about with the permit to carry,
Right.
De Blasio donation scandal, your man Norman Seabrook with the corrections officer scandal, scandal. The police officers was taking bribes so you could get through the fast lane
Right.
through the Lincoln Tunnel, and there's always something. In your experience, how corrupt is the NYPD and the city of New York?
Well, if you look back in history, every 20 years it's a scandal. You got the Serpico, you got the Mike Dow, you got the Marlin Commission, now we got this federal probe, which what really bothers me with this is Bratton said that this might be the worst scandal since Serpico, since the Knapp Commission. That bothers me because That was the NAP Commission. That's like the biggest scandal we had in history of the NYPD, where all the executives was on the take. So he compared this scandal recently to that. So that tells me he knows something that we don't know. For
And
him
it's
to
not
put
out
that out
yet.
there, that's pretty big.
And he's covering his own ass by jumping out and
has
saying
to be
that.
covering himself. He has to be covering. So that's pretty big. So I didn't really see a lot of. It's hard to be corrupt like it used to be in the 70s and 80s. It's just hard because there's too many cameras. Big Brother's watching. Everybody's snitching. There's no loyalty. They talk that blue wall and all of that junk. Every time somebody do something, you got 4 cops running. Y'all, it wasn't me. This guy did that. So, I mean, the corruption, it's on a small scale. Like, we see these executives doing that. This been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
This nothing new. They just got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And like I always say, you know, you've been on a roller coaster. Ride is good till you get to the bottom, and it's over. The thing is, you know, they wanted to get back on that ride, and they got caught, and they was greedy. And I know every one of them intimately, all of them. Cologne, Harrington, all of those guys that's in that scandal.
They don't like you.
I don't know. I never,
You don't, not that you care.
yeah.
I'm just asking because the
You know
New York
what,
Times
but
put
we
you
were-
up as thug cop, so that
not
tells
the Times, the Post.
Oh, the Post
The
put you up
Post,
as
yeah.
thug
Big
cop.
difference.
The big difference. That tells me because the Post always
Right.
runs real tight with the benevolent and
Of
this one and that
course.
one and
Yeah.
that. They move real well with that.
But
That
they
tells
not,
me
they
what
not
they
calling
think
none
about
of them
you,
thug
though.
cops.
Right?
They
But
not
that
calling none of them thugs.
so you think they did that because you black?
Of course, it's a racial component to it. Just look at today's newspaper. The commissioner gave 2 of the cops that didn't testify to the feds. He gave them their guns back. He let them secretly retire and gave them their good guy letter to take their guns. They took my guns, took my good guy letter, and wanted to take my pension. And I didn't even commit a crime. They're talking about some crime. I committed a lot of crimes when I was less than 18. But you can't, like, you're going to box me into 18. I'm almost 50 years old. You're talking about 5 years in the street selling drugs. That's my life till I die. Not the masters, not the bachelors, not being a professor at, you know, Monroe College. None of this. They're like, no, box him into those 5 years. He sold drugs. That's it. Nah, but, you know,
So did they give you a good guy letter? Whatever. I don't even know what that
no.
means. But
Well, it's basically a letter
did
saying
a
you
good-
was in good standing for
Right.
20-something years and you could carry your gun all over the country. That's basically it. So when the New York Post came, they sent a cadre of cops, like 15 cops. Give me your guns. I'm like, what's this all about? And, you know, Nassau County, I really can't talk about the case because, you know, I got a multi-million-dollar suit against New York Post, NYPD, and Nassau County.
for slandering your name
Yeah,
and
slander,
all that.
First Amendment, all of that, civil rights violations. And, you know, it's going to, you know, I'll probably hire y'all to run my radio station.
All right. Look forward to it.
Oh, look, I'm here for you.
We're
We're here for that.
We're going to buy a whole new radio station. We're going to call it NYPD Radio.
I won't work there if it's called that. We need a different name, but I'll do a couple. I'll do a little show here and there for you. You know what I mean? Just boom, boom. Once a Cop is the book. Corey Pegues. I don't want to give away too much of the book, but I have a lot of questions for you, man.
I know there's a chapter, the worst thing I ever did as a cop.
It's an interesting title.
Yeah,
chapter title.
Yeah, that was the worst
You
thing
give
I
us a,
ever
give us a
did.
tease. Give us a tease.
Yeah, I
Just
could
a
give you a
little bit.
tease. I could give you a tease on that. Basically, I got caught up at that moment. I got caught up. And I'm gonna bring it all home for you right now. Me and my partner. It was the end of the tour. We got a family dispute. The end of the tour is like we get off at 11:30. So this job comes like, you know, policing. That last 30 minutes, nobody's answering the radio. But if it's in your sector, you got to answer it. So we get the call like 11:15. It's a Spanish couple. We get there. They're fighting. I separate the guy. My partner goes with the girl. And I just want to get out of here. Like, it's the end of the tour. We don't want no overtime. And the guy just walking back and forth, like, all in my face, fucking punk, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yo, come on, let's just get out of here. And he said it one more time. I was like, you see a punk, slap a punch. He punched me right in my face, knocked me down. Boom, knocked me right out. I'm like, oh, shit. So now it's a big brawl. The wife is beating us up. The grandmother, the neighbors is on our back. This is going on for like 3 minutes. We're trying to get out of here, right? We get on the radio. We finally get help. You know, the whole team comes. And so now I cuffed the guy, and I'm taking him out the building. We on like the 4th floor. He fell down all 4 flights. Like, I didn't, you know, I didn't push him.
Right.
But 4 flights, he fell down. So it was the
Right.
worst thing that I ever did. And you know why it was the worst thing? Because I could have killed that guy. And someone should have grabbed me. It's like the Weimer case in the 7-0 with the stick. Like, if you personally involved, I learned this.
You
As I
shouldn't be
started
pulling them
being
out.
You
a
shouldn't
leader.
have been the one taking them
I
out.
shouldn't have been the one because I'm hot. Like he punched me in my face.
Yeah.
Oh, he missed those stairs. The sergeant like, yo, what's going on with it? Boom, 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 boom. Like, oh, he just keeps slipping out of my hands. He wasn't slipping out of my hands. But that was the worst thing I ever did as a cop. And to top it off, when we get to the precinct, I'm bleeding, he's bleeding. We call EMS, and he says I'm HIV positive. I'm like, here's the bullshit. Now I got HIV. All because I'm a hothead. So
Wow.
for a year, I had to go get testing and everything. But it was a learning experience.
Now, and on that, and we're gonna wrap this, I think, but I have a lot. On that, I have an opinion that I believe that, cops that work in real violent areas need to be rotated out of that area every
Need rest.
2, 3, something, because look, the people that grow up in these areas have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
The cops policing these violent areas have to have some sort of stress disorder. And your ability to keep your cool, keep your calm and focus, it becomes very fragile. Does that sort of rotation happen? Because other people would argue, no, we want people who know the community in there, no. And I would be like, yeah, but sometimes you just need a quick pull me out of here for a second.
I'm glad you brought it. You're the only interviewer that y'all on your game up here in High 97.
We try.
Because that's great because they rotate the commanders. You go there for 2-3 years, commanders gone, but you leave these same people. So now you got cops. I had cops that worked 20 years in the precinct. In East Flatbush, one of the most violent places. I worked in the 75th precinct, the most violent place, and Brownsville. So I worked in all 3 of those precincts. If you ride it down Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn, you ride through the 75th precinct, East New York, then you hit Brownsville, then you hit East Flatbush. You got a high probability to get shot, robbed, raped. It's very violent. You got these guys working there. So I try to tell my cops, every time you do a job, you got to act like it's the first time you did the job. But after you said 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years, you get in the shooting, the body, you just like, man, fuck, I got to go to
I'm
this.
going to war every
Right,
day.
every
I leave my
single
house,
day.
my family every day. I'm going to war.
And then in the military, they rotate people. Even the war zone, they rotate them.
Well, it's like I always think about hospitals, right? Like when one of us, God forbid, has someone in the hospital, you want the people working at the hospital to treat your loved one like it is a fucking emergency that needs to be handled.
Exactly.
Not
you don't-
just another
You don't want to
body
think
coming
about
through.
them like, I got to smoke a cigarette and then I'm going to come back and get to them because it's just work.
Right.
And that's the same thing that would happen here if they're there nonstop.
It's
like
even
you said,
worse than that.
The radio goes off, it doesn't mean anything. The radio's
doesn't mean-
always going
Yeah,
off.
it's worse than that, bro. I'm violent now because I'm around violence. That's
But
how
that
I
too.
protect myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
you get those hothead cops. And it's like the hothead cop, soon as you walk in the precinct the first day, you already know who he is. Like, they stand out. It's not like we got to figure out who the bad guy is.
Everyone knows who it is.
Everyone knows who he is. It's like the Louima thing. I always bring the Louima thing because, not only him, even the guy Pantaleo in Staten Island that choke. Every time you see these major scandals, they look at the cop record. What do you hear? He got
Violence.
15 complaints. He was involved in 2 shootings. He's getting sued for $400 million. When was somebody going to say, hey, Joey, sit back. This might not be the job for you. But they just pacifying.
and why does that happen?
And is there mental health evaluations with police? And how often?
Once.
Once.
As soon as you come, I went to
And
the
that's it?
psychiatrist when I came on the job to get on the job. That's wife, kids, white picket fence. I love picking roses and
Right, right,
everything.
right.
All right, you're hired. Never see him again. So some people will slip through the cracks. I think we agree on that in any profession.
But if you're dealing with violence at an extreme level, or
about
you're working
that.
in a very violent neighborhood, you need psych
Yes.
eval, and you need to be rotated.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Look, I don't even let certain rappers come up here from certain neighborhoods too frequently. Like, I only want to see you once a year, my G. Like, I don't live that life. I'm gonna bring all that stress to me every day.
In baseball, pitchers have a rotation. They can't pitch every day.
Right.
Arm gets too tired. Won't be able to do your job anymore. You got to go sit up for 5 days before you come back.
Yo, there's so much I want to talk to you about. Maybe we'll have you back, but I do want people to go get this book. It's called Once a Cop. Corey Pegues. He was on the NYPD for 21 years. He also came up in Queens, so he knows a little bit about both sides of it. Man, thank you for being so open. Thanks for this book. What's next for you? What happens after this? I'm sure there's gonna be a movie and a TV.
Yeah, we're
blah,
trying to
blah,
get
blah.
Ed Woods. We got Ed Woods working on that. My publicist, Lizzie Grumman. We out there working, trying to get that TV deal. But right now, we just pushing this book. I'll be at the Therapy Wine Bar on Saturday from 1 to 3. I'll be at Barnes and Nobles in the Bronx on July.
He's
July
out
13th.
here is what he's saying. He's out
And
here.
I'll be in the Staten Island, believe it or not.
How old's your adorable youngest?
She's 3 years old.
So he's also still getting it popping. Just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the gun
fact.
still works.
Okay.
And
The
I
other
say
gun,
that
not
based
that
on
gun.
Yeah.
facts. I say that based on facts. There are
Facts.
children here.
Still.
Adorable children.
And before we
Thank
let you
you.
go, last words on whether or not cops, because a lot of us feel like police don't really want to help us. And this is a national problem.
Yes.
Like,
So
they're not
I-
there to help us. They're there to put us away. They're there to, they're not there for our safety. They're there to antagonize us and harm us. What is your opinion on that?
My opinion, I'm glad you let me close with this because I want to be clear on there that, like, cops just a good profession. And most cops just want to come and do their job. And what the citizens need to realize is cops are paid to put people in jail. That's just what it is. So you got to know that off the rip. That's what they do. They lock people up. So if there's a probability that you're going to get arrested, most of the time they might lead. They're going to lean to, I'm putting the cuffs on this guy. But most cops, they just coming in. They're like doctors, lawyers, radio announcers. They're just coming to do their job. You got that small percentage of cops that's bad, but those are the only ones we hear about. You don't hear about the cop who rescued. Like, I remember I rescued 8, 9, 10 people out of a building, a burning fire, ran in there, me and my partner. We ain't getting no pub on that. If I would have shot somebody, they would have had me on the front page of the newspaper. So most cops are doing their jobs, but the bad ones, they make it bad. And the good ones make it worse because they sit back and shut up.
We said the same thing,
Especially the
man.
minority
Yo,
cops.
we said that same thing with the Air Garner and all these cases. We were on the radio like, yo, if you disagree with this,
Say something.
say something.
You couldn't find one. You can't
Nah, a
get
couple
one
people
cop.
called. Couple people called like, yo.
Not much, though.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
And I'll tell you what, I really hope, and obviously you're doing very well, big publisher and Lizzie Grubman, you got a team together. So I really hope your voice is needed because you say both sides. And that's really rare, right? It feels like all we get are the cop people and the anti-cop people. And I'll be honest, I can't rock with either of them.
Right.
I really can't. I can't rock with people who hate everything the cops do and think every cop who's out there is there to put you in jail and beat you because it's not true.
And I can't rock with the people who think
who think
want
the
to act
cops
like
do
the
everything
cops
right.
can't do nothing wrong.
Right.
Exactly. I can't rock with people
We
who
just
won't
need
criticize.
people to own mistakes.
No,
I'll
but
be
that's
honest with you. It's that simple. In all of the shit we see around the country, people are just looking for somebody to be like, yo,
My bad.
we fucked up.
Look at like you brought it up, Ebro, Chicago, Laquan. Are you kidding me? How in the world do they hold that case for a year?
And then try to hide the tape
Yeah, hide
just
the
so the
tape.
mayor, your man Rahm
So he
Emanuel,
can
could
get
get back
reelected.
reelected.
Not my man. But yeah, no. It's crazy. I mean, to see that a guy now, granted,
And then mind you, the kid the cops had the kid surrounded for what? 10 minutes or
Right.
something?
Well, but then it's a
and then
hothead
this
who
one
shows
dude
up.
shows up, unloads 16 on him,
Yep.
And I saw,
walks up on him while he's already on the ground.
and you got all these police. Actually, the problem was like mainstream media. They don't want to bring me in because I'm going to keep it right.
That's
You
what-
know
that's
I'm
what I
saying?
wanna see happen
I'm
is
gonna
you
keep
get
it
brought
right.
in.
I'm watching CNN, and you had a police analyst actually break down the Laquan McDonald's, say it was a justified shooting because he kept moving. Well, if you shooting the hell out of me, I'm gonna jerk too. Like the smoke was coming out of his body, and this analyst was saying, "Hey, that was a legitimate shooting because we're trained to shoot the threat as long as the body's moving." Are you freaking kidding me? And the interview didn't give him no pushback. So America Eyes is an expert, 27 years, police officer, whatever. It must be a
Can you
justified
real
shooting.
quick? I gotta ask you one Laquan McDonald question. So I've watched it a million times. Obviously, I'm not saying it's an easy situation. You have a guy who's clearly erratic, walking with a knife, walking down the street. You're not sure what you have to do something, right? I agree. The police have to do something. You can't just let him walk around.
Right.
But what happened to the idea of even if you do have to discharge your weapon because you're worried, the idea of shooting someone to disable them and not hit them in the leg,
Right.
as opposed to shooting them 16 times in the chest?
Well, the
Yeah.
16 times is just.
I just don't. I
There's
don't
no excuse for
understand.
that.
What would
Yeah.
you? What would if that was your circumstance?
Yeah.
And you were one of the cops on the scene at Laquan McDonald? What would you have done?
Oh, that's easy. My circumstance for Eric Garner and Laquan McDonald is all the same. You isolate, contain, give clear and concise orders. You call a team. That's easy. You isolate. Well, he could have walked all around Chicago. I would have been 25 feet behind him, had a car going slow. We're going to just follow him until ESU get, they come and put on the helmets and all the SWAT stuff and start hitting them up with some rubber bullets. That's it. But everybody's on, wants to be the hero, want to get what we call a salad on their chest because they get medals. So, you see what they got, those big racks? Those are all shootings for the most part. So it's like, I got to get that
So when
medal.
that dude
I gotta
showed
get that
up, so
medal.
when the dude shows up late, because you have what looks like two cops who are doing the right
Doing
thing.
the right
They're
thing.
trying to contain.
Exactly.
And then this dude just pulls up like no one else is there.
The hothead.
and just starts busting shots.
And that's what you get. You get that all the time. It's like the Eric Garner thing. Eric Garner with me, I would have been like, big man, giving the cops the benefit that he was getting locked up. Big man, I'm not wrestling with you. I don't know no karate, no jujitsu, but you gotta go with me. You solo cigarettes, but we could do it 2 ways. I could call them boys, or you could come with me. If you ain't got no warrants, you out there in 4 hours. We're gonna stop at McDonald's, and you can use the phone all day.
With the
But
Eric
when you
Garner
look at
case,
that-
so that's broken windows, and they trying to change that neighborhood. He's standing
But you
outside.
notice,
The
Ebro,
taxpayers
there's no verbal
Right.
judo between
Right,
the
they don't
cops.
just-
All these cops are on 100. Yo, you disrespect me? Yo, you gotta go. Like, calm down,
Have a conversation.
Tiger. Let them just chill.
Relax,
Isolate,
Kojak.
contain. But they don't want to do that. They're all on 100. But they're trained to
hopped
be
up
on
on a
100.
lot of y'all here hopped up on steroids and all that too. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
Run
some
around
of
here
them.
off HGH and steroids and
Yeah.
stressed out.
Well, the NYPD has made strides in that with testing and stuff.
Oh, they have.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
often?
yeah. It's random. So what they do is they're picking names. So I say that 20 years, I got one random test. You know, it's a lot of cops. NYPD is kind of hard to compare to other. Like I live in Long Island, I got 50 cops in my police department. It's a lot different. So they can't test everybody. You know, everything is money, the testing and all that. So they randomly test you. But just knowing that you might get randomly tested is a preventive measure. You know, because you never know when your name is gonna pop. So, you know.
Damn, man, I want to keep going.
We need to wrap you up. The book is out right now.
What about?
No. Isn't our other guest here? If
Yeah.
not, keep going. Or maybe he has some other life
No,
to
I'm
promote.
sure he's got a life. Because the other thing I wanted to cover off on too was the kid who filmed. What's his name?
Yes,
the
I'm
Eric
kid
Garner.
who filmed the
Yeah.
Eric Garner thing, getting picked on by the cops all the time.
Yeah, they
And
keep
he's
coming
still
back to
wrapped
him.
up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got him yambled up over a blunt or something. Or, you
Yeah.
know,
No, and
something.
filming a cop another time.
Another thing, and then just
Clearly
cops
harassing.
is out here picking on people. Just say
Yeah.
it. Just tell me.
There are some cops that pick on people. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm going to tell you the overwhelming majority of cops, I'm going to give it to them. I got to give it up because I was there. They're just doing their job. But you got that small segment. But when everybody else
Ramsey
shuts up,
Orta.
when everybody
Ramsey
else shuts
Orta,
up, it looks like it's okay. They give them the pass. Well, again, thanks a lot for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Corey Pegues, ladies and
Awesome,
gentlemen, get the
awesome,
book.
awesome.